You may not be tired for the reason you think. That is what makes this kind of exhaustion so confusing. Because from the outside, your day may not even look that extreme. You may not have done anything dramatic. You may not have been physically pushing yourself that hard. And yet, you still feel drained. Not just a little tired. Heavy. Foggy. Like your energy is low before the day has even properly asked much of you. I used to think that kind of tiredness always meant I had done too much. But that is not always the full reason. Sometimes, you are tired because your mind has not actually stopped. Not fully. Not properly. Not in the way that lets you really reset. Before you even realize it, your mind has already started. Not loudly. Not intentionally. But it is already moving. And by the time you notice it, you are already a little tired. That is what happens when thinking becomes continuous. Not intense all the time. Just constant. One thought leading to another. One thing half finished in your mind while another one starts. A conversation from earlier. Something you need to reply to. Something you forgot. Something that might happen tomorrow. And because none of it looks dramatic, it is easy to miss how much energy it uses. But mental activity still uses energy. Even when you are sitting still. Even when you are lying down. Even when you tell yourself you are resting. If your mind is still replaying, analysing, anticipating, checking, carrying, it is not truly at rest. And that creates a different kind of exhaustion. Not just physical. Mental. The kind sleep does not always fix on its own. Let me bring this into something more real. You wake up, and before the day has even started, your mind is already somewhere else. Thinking about what you need to do. What you forgot yesterday. What might go wrong today. Or maybe you finish the day and feel more exhausted than the day itself would explain. That is usually the clue. Because sometimes the tiredness is not coming from what happened around you. It is coming from how much your mind has been carrying the whole time. I think this is why some people feel tired even after doing nothing. Because their body may have stopped, but their mind never really did. It kept replaying conversations, thinking about what could have been said differently, anticipating what might happen next, running through possibilities again and again, trying to solve things that were not even in front of them. That is exhausting. Even if no one else can see it. Even if you cannot always explain it. That kind of tiredness often becomes your baseline without you realizing it. You stop calling it exhaustion. You start calling it normal. You tell yourself, this is just how I am. I'm always tired. I'm just low energy. Maybe I'm lazy. But very often, that is not what is happening at all. What is actually happening is that your mind has had no real space. Not no noise. Not no stimulation. No real space. That difference matters. Because distraction is not the same as rest. Stimulation is not the same as reset. Being occupied is not the same as being restored. I remember noticing this in a very ordinary way. There were times when I thought I was taking a break, but my mind was still full. Still scrolling. Still checking. Still jumping from one thing to another. And afterwards, I did not feel rested. I just felt more full. That is an important distinction. Because your mind does not reset through constant stimulation. It resets through space. Moments where it is not processing everything at once. Moments where it is not trying to solve, predict, or carry everything at once. Even brief moments like that begin to restore energy. Not instantly, but noticeably. Your thoughts slow a little. Your focus returns a little. Your energy feels less scattered. And that constant background fatigue begins to reduce. That is where the shift begins. Not by forcing yourself to think less. That usually does not work. But by recognizing when your mind is not actually resting. That question alone can change a lot. Not why am I so tired? But when was the last time my mind was truly still? Not distracted. Not entertained. Not occupied. Still. Do not rush that question. Because the answer is often further back than people expect. And that is usually the clue. The body can go a long time without obvious collapse. The mind can go a long time without obvious stillness. But eventually, the cost shows up. In your focus. In your energy. In that constant sense of heaviness that is hard to explain. So if you have been feeling tired without a clear reason, pause. It may not be your effort that is draining you. It may be the lack of space between your thoughts. The lack of pause. The lack of real mental stillness. And once you begin to create that space, even slightly, something begins to shift. Not all at once, but enough to notice. Enough to think clearly again. Enough to feel lighter again. Enough to realize that what you needed was not always more effort, but more room for your mind to stop carrying so much. Sometimes the tiredness is not a sign that you are weak. Sometimes it is just a sign that your mind has been working for too long without real rest. And once you see that, you stop blaming yourself so much. You start making space instead. And that may be where your energy begins to return.